Hey YouTubers, welcome to the Cyber Overwatch channel. I'm Pragmatic1 in part 3 of the Nmap Scan All the Things 5-part series. I will try to provide a comprehensive overview of Nmap and its capabilities. In this video, I will cover port scanning, including its purpose in Nmap port scanning techniques. In addition, I will also go over Nmap's port scan timing, port options, and port scan types. If you find this content informative and you are interested in IT, specifically cybersecurity, please like and subscribe to the Cyber Overwatch channel. You can also go to www.cybersac.com and read the blog post. Don't forget to check back regularly for new content. What am I talking about when I say ports? Ports are used to differentiate between different communication channels. Similar to how IP addresses identify hosts on a network, ports help to identify specific applications running on a host. For example, when you browse to a website via an HTTP URL, it will use TCP port 80 by default. If you specify secure HTTPS protocol instead, the browser will attempt to connect to port 443. In general, the most popular services are usually registered to a well-known port number. This makes it often possible to guess which services are running on an open port. Nmap includes an Nmap-services file that contains information about registered ports and protocols. It also contains common ports for Trojan backdoors and other applications that do not register with the Internet Assigned Numbers Authority (IANA). After a scan, Nmap will print these service names with the port number for reference. The ephemeral port range is a pool of ports that are dynamically assigned by the system as needed. When an application specifies port 0, meaning any port, the system selects a port from this range. The specific range varies depending on the operating system and can usually be configured, but it should include a sufficient number of ports, at least a few thousand, to prevent running out of available ports when multiple concurrent connections are open. Nmap's Connect Scan uses hundreds of ports simultaneously as it scans each specified port on each target machine. On Linux, you can view or modify the range by accessing the file /proc/sys/ip v4/ip_local_port_range. The IANA has an authoritative port list that can be found at www.iana.org/assignments/port-numbers and divides the port space into 3 classes. Number 1, well-known ports. These are reserved for ports within the range of 1 to 1023, as discussed above. They have been registered with the IANA for a specific service. Examples of well-known ports are 22 for SSH, 25 for SMTP, and 80 for HTTP. Number 2, registered ports. These ports fall within the range of 1024 to 49,151 and have been registered with the IANA in the same way for well-known ports. Most of these ports are not as commonly used as well-known ports. The key difference is that unprivileged users can bind to these ports and run services on their registered ports. In contrast, users cannot do so on most platforms for well-known ports since they are reserved. Number 3, dynamic ports. The IANA reserves port numbers from 49,152 through 65,535 for dynamic uses, such as those discussed in the ephemeral port section. Proprietary services that are only used within a company may also use these ports. What is the purpose of port scanning and why would I use it? Port scanning has several practical benefits, the most important of which is security. Reducing the number and complexity of services offered is a central tenet of network security because most remote network compromises result from exploiting a server application listening on a TCP or UDP port. Often the exploited application isn't even used by the targeted organization but was enabled by default when the machine was set up. Had the service been disabled or protected by a firewall, the attack would have been thwarted. Attackers frequently scan targets, take an inventory of all open ports to compare them with their list of favorite exploits for vulnerable software. It takes only one match to compromise the machine, creating a foothold that is often used to infest the whole network. Attackers who are less discriminate about who they target often scan for just the default port of an exploitable application. While these attackers are often derided as script kiddies, they can be quite a nuisance and often drive organizations to patch systems quickly, reducing the likelihood of more serious targeted attacks succeeding. An important defense against such attackers is for administrators to scan their own networks regularly using tools like Nmap. Administrators should take a list of open ports, shut down any unused services, ensure that critical services are fully patched and are on the vendor security notification list, and add firewall rules where possible to limit access to legitimate users. Hardening instructions for most popular applications and platforms are available on the web, which can further reduce the attack surface. While Nmap creates the list of available services, it cannot do a majority of the tasks listed earlier for administrators. Some administrators use Netstat, but Netstat doesn't scale well and requires access to every host, which can be challenging for hosts that are mobile. Another issue is that it's not possible to run Netstat on wireless access points, VoIP phones, or printers. Relying solely on Nmap is also a mistake. A combination of careful design, configuration auditing, and regular scanning is advisable. While security is the most common reason for port scanning, administrators may find that it suits other purposes as well, such as creating an inventory of machines and services they offer, which can be useful for asset tracking, network design, policy compliance checks, software license tracking, availability testing, and network debugging. Port scanning is a technique used by Nmap to remotely test the status of multiple ports on a target machine. Primary objective is to identify open ports, which indicate that the application is actively listening and accepting connections on that port. Different methods are available for conducting port scans. While many port scanners simply categorize ports as open or closed, Nmap is much more sophisticated. It divides ports into 6 distinct states that describe how Nmap perceives them. For instance, an Nmap scan from the same network as the target may show port 135 as open, whereas a scan at the same time from across the internet using the same options might show the same port as filtered. The 6 port states recognized by Nmap are: number 1, open state. An application is actively accepting TCP connections or UDP packets on this port. This state is of particular interest for security-minded individuals, since each open port represents a potential avenue for attack. Attackers and penetration testers aim to exploit open ports, while administrators strive to close or protect them with firewalls without hindering legitimate users. Open ports are also useful for non-security scans because they reveal available services on the network. However, it is essential to note that an open port does not necessarily mean the application is vulnerable, as it may be protected with TCP wrappers, or the application itself may be configured to only accept connections from approved client IP addresses. Even so, open ports still leave more attack surface than closed ports. Number 2, closed state. A closed port is accessible, meaning that it receives and responds to Nmap probe packets, but there is no application listening on it. Closed ports are useful for showing that a host is online and using an IP address, and can aid in OS detection. Since closed ports are reachable, they may be worth scanning later in case some open up. Administrators may choose to block closed ports with a firewall. Administrators may choose to block closed ports with a firewall so they appear to be in a filtered state. Number 3, filtered state. Nmap cannot determine whether the port is open because packet filtering prevents its probes from reaching the port. Packet filtering may occur from the dedicated firewall device, router rules, or host-based firewall software. Filtered ports provide minimal information, frustrating attackers. Sometimes they respond with an ICMP error message such as type 3, code 13, otherwise known as destination unreachable, communication administratively prohibited. But more often, filters simply drop probes without responding, causing Nmap to retry several times in case the probe was dropped due to network congestion rather than filtering. This type of filtering significantly slows down scans. Number 4, unfiltered state. The unfiltered state means that a port is accessible, but Nmap cannot determine whether it is open or closed. This state only arises when using an ACK scan, which is used to map firewall rule sets. Scanning unfiltered ports with other scan types such as Windows Scan, SynScan, or FinScan may help resolve whether the port is open. Number 5, open filtered state. Nmap places ports in this state when it cannot determine whether the port is open or filtered. This occurs when open ports give no response. The lack of response could mean that a packet filter drops the probe or any response it elicited. Therefore, Nmap cannot be sure whether the port is open or being filtered. The UDP, IP protocol, FIN, NULL, and XMAS scans classify ports this way. Number 6, closed filtered state. This state arises when Nmap cannot determine whether a port is closed or filtered. The state is unique to the IP ID idle scan. How does port scan timing help me? Port scanning is an essential part of an Nmap scan that can be time consuming, particularly when combined with other types of scans like OS detection, version detection, and NSC scripts. While Nmap is designed to be quick and efficient by default, manual optimization can improve scan times significantly. Nmap offers dozens of options to tailor scan intensity and speed to meet specific needs, making it a powerful tool for optimizing port scans. To optimize port scan times, it's crucial to understand the most important options available in Nmap. These options allow users to fine-tune scan parameters and achieve optimal results. Some options take time in seconds by default, but users can append milliseconds, seconds, minutes, or hours to the value for greater flexibility. By leveraging Nmap's powerful options for port scanning, users can obtain faster and more accurate results, leading to better resource allocations and improved network security. Port scan timing options include timing templates. Nmap's timing templates provide a convenient way to adjust the overall speed of an Nmap scan by affecting many variables. These templates range from very slow -T0 to extremely aggressive -T5, allowing users to tailor their scans to their needs. Timing templates can be combined with more granular options, as the image in this video shows, with the most detailed options taking precedence. Minimum timeout -min-rtt timeout specifies the minimum amount of time that Nmap will wait for a response before moving on to the next port scan probe. On slow or congested networks, increasing this value can help ensure that all necessary responses are received, but it may also increase the overall scan time. Maximum timeout -max-rtt timeout specifies the maximum amount of time that Nmap will wait for a response before moving on to the next port scan probe. Increasing this value can help you avoid false negatives, but may also increase scan time. Initial timeout -initial-rtt timeout sets the initial amount of time that Nmap will wait for a response before adjusting the timeout based on subsequent probe responses. This option can be useful for scans of complex networks with varying response times. Minimum probe rate -min-rate sets the lower limit of the number of packets sent per second, ensuring that the scan is not slowed down by a low packet rate. Maximum probe rate -max-rate sets the maximum number of packets sent per second. This option can be useful for preventing network congestion or to avoid being flagged as an attacker by intrusion detection systems. Minimum parallelism -min-parallelism sets the minimum number of port scan probes that can be active simultaneously during a scan. This option can help ensure that the scan is not slowed down by too few active probes. Maximum parallelism -max-parallelism sets the maximum number of port scan probes that can be active simultaneously during a scan. This option can be useful for preventing network congestion or overloading target systems with too many simultaneous probes. Minimum scan delay -scan-delay specifies the minimum amount of time that Nmap waits between sending probes to any individual hosts. By increasing the scan delay, Nmap can avoid network congestion, reduce the chance of being detected as a threat, and optimize scan speed. Maximum scan delay -max-scan-delay sets the maximum amount of time Nmap will wait between sending probes to an individual host. By capping the maximum delay, users can prevent Nmap from being detected as a threat and avoid unnecessarily long scan times. Nmap has several port options available when setting up your scan. Nmap's port registration file, called Nmap-services, is a valuable resource that contains empirical data on the frequency of open TCP and UDP ports. This data has been collected by scanning millions of internet addresses and combining the results with internal scan data from large enterprises. By default, Nmap scans the top 1,000 most popular ports of each protocol, but users can specify the -F option to scan only the top 100 most common ports, or use the -top ports option to specify any desired number of ports to scan. For users who require a more customized port scan, the -P option allows for an arbitrary list of port numbers to be specified on the command line. Although the syntax of the -P option can be complex, it can be best understood through examples. By leveraging the power of Nmap-services, users can more efficiently scan for open ports and improve their network security. Nmap provides several scan types, each with its own purpose and level of value depending on the specific use case. Each scan type has its own advantages and limitations, and the value depends on the specific goals and context of your network scanning activity. It's important to consider the target environment, network infrastructure, and any security measures in place when selecting an appropriate Nmap scan. Port scan types include SYN-scan, also known as stealth scan. Nmap scan option is -s. The most widely used scanning technique for identifying open ports is undoubtedly the TCP SYN-scan. This approach offers the benefit of speed, as it quickly scans the most popular TCP protocol ports. Moreover, compared to the Connect scan, TCP SYN-scan is less detectable and can be used against any operational TCP stack. This makes it an attractive option for both attackers and defenders alike, as it allows the efficient and effective scanning of network assets while minimizing the risk of detection. In a SYN scan, the scanner sends a SYN packet to the target port and waits for a response. If the target system responds responds with a SYN-ACK packet, it means that the port is open and accepting connections. The scanner does not complete the connection by sending the ACK packet, so the connection is not established. This is why SYN scans are also referred to as half-open scans. SYN scans can be useful for identifying open ports on a target system, as they can be completed quickly and with minimal network traffic. Additionally, SYN scans are less likely to be detected by intrusion detection systems and firewalls than full connect scans, as they involve only sending a SYN packet to the target system rather than establishing a full connection. Connect scan. Nmap command option is -s T. The connect scan technique employs the connect system call to scan network hosts, rather than rely on raw packets like other scanning methods. This approach is commonly used by unprivileged users, as it provides a simple and efficient way to identify open ports. The scanner sends a SYN packet to the target port and waits for a response. If the port is open and accepting connections, the target system will respond with a SYN-ACK packet, indicating that it is ready to establish a connection. The scanner then sends an ACK packet to complete the connection process, and the connection is immediately closed. Connect scan is often used against IPv6 targets where the SYN scan technique may not be effective. Despite its benefits, connect scans may be easily detected by intrusion detection systems or firewalls, as they involve attempting to establish a full connection with the target system. Therefore, it is important to use this technique judiciously and in conjunction with other scanning methods to ensure comprehensive results. UDP scan. Nmap command option -s U. Unlike TCP, UDP is a connectionless protocol, which means that it does not involve establishing a full connection between the scanner and the target host. In a UDP scan, the scanner sends a UDP packet to the target port and waits for a response. If the target system responds with an ICMP packet indicating that the port is closed, the scanner can assume that the port is closed. However, if the target system does not respond, it's not possible to determine whether the port is open or closed without additional testing. UDP scans can be useful for identifying open UDP ports on target hosts, which are often used for services like DNS, DHCP, and other network protocols. UDP scans can be less reliable than TCP scans, as the lack of connection-oriented protocols means that responses may not always be consistent or predictable. Additionally, UDP scans may be more easily detected by IDS or firewalls, as they involve sending packets to target systems without establishing a full connection. Therefore, it is important to use this technique carefully and in conjunction with other scanning methods to ensure comprehensive results. TCP fin scan. Nmap command option -s It's a specialized scanning technique that can be useful for identifying open ports while avoiding detection by firewalls. This technique relies on target behavior that may not be exhibited by all systems, particularly some Windows variants. As a result, its effectiveness can be limited to certain environments. In a fin scan, the scanner sends a TCP fin packet to the target port and waits for a response. If the target system responds with a reset packet, it means that the port is closed and no service is running on that port. However, if the target system does not respond at all, it means that the port is open or filtered by a firewall. Fin scans are not always reliable, as some systems may respond with a reset packet regardless of whether the port is open or closed. TCP XMAS scan or Christmas scan. Nmap command option -s_x. It's a port scanning technique that involves sending a TCP packet with the urgent, push, and fin flags all set to the on or one position. The resulting packet is sometimes referred to as a Christmas packet due to the festive connotation of the name and the fact that the packet is lit up like a Christmas tree. It can be useful for identifying open ports while attempting to evade detection by firewalls. In a TCP XMAS scan, the scanner sends an XMAS packet to the target port and waits for a response. If Nmap receives no response, the port is open. If the host responds with an ICMP, that indicates that the port is filtered. And if the target host responds with a reset packet, that indicates that the port is closed. TCP NULL scan. Nmap command option -s_n. It's a port scanning technique that involves sending a TCP packet with all flags set to 0 or off. This includes the urgent, ACK, push, reset, SYN, and fin flags. This creates a null packet, which sometimes referred to as an invisible packet because it contains no flag information that could be used to indicate its purpose. TCP null scans can be useful for identifying open ports while attempting to evade detection by firewalls or intrusion detection systems. In a TCP null scan, the scanner sends a null packet to a target port and waits for a response. If the port is open, the target system may not respond at all, which can indicate a potential area of vulnerability. Alternatively, if the port is closed or the firewall is blocking traffic to that port, the target system may respond with a reset packet, indicating that the port is closed. It's also worth noting that some network security systems may be configured to block null packets, which could limit the effectiveness of this technique. ACScan, Nmap command option -s_a. It's a commonly used port scanning technique that can be useful for mapping out firewall rule sets. This technique involves sending an ACK packet to a target port and observing the response. In particular, it can help identify whether firewall rules are stateful or not, which can be useful for understanding network security configurations. However, it is important to note that the ACScan cannot distinguish between open and closed ports. This is because the ACK packet is typically used to acknowledge the receipt of data, rather than to initiate a connection. Therefore, while the ACScan can be useful for gathering information about firewall configurations, it may not be the best option for identifying open ports or potential vulnerabilities. It's important to use the technique in conjunction with other scanning methods to ensure comprehensive results. Window scan. Nmap command option -s_w. It's a port scanning technique that is similar to the ACScan with one key difference. It is able to detect open versus closed ports against certain machines. This technique involves sending a TCP packet with the ACK flag set to on or 1 and the window size set to 0. In a window scan, the scanner sends a modified TCP packet to a target port and observes the response. If the port is open, the target system may respond with a TCP packet that has the ACK and window flag set to on, indicating that the port is open and ready to receive data. Alternatively, if the port is closed or firewall is blocking traffic to that port, the target system may respond with a reset packet indicating that the port is closed. Idle scan. Nmap command option -s_I. It's a stealthy scanning technique that involves using a so-called zombie host as a proxy to send packets to the target system. This type of scan is considered one of the most stealthy scanning methods available, as it leaves behind little to no trace and can often evade detection from firewalls and other network security measures. One of the advantages of the idle scan is that it can exploit trusted IP address relationships, making it possible to scan a target system without arousing suspicion or triggering alarms. However, this type of scanning technique can be slow and complex, as it requires the use of a specific type of idle host with a predictable IP ID sequence. IP protocol scan. Nmap command option -s_o. It's a unique scanning technique used to determine which IP protocols, TCP, ICMP, IGMP, etc., are supported by the target host. Unlike traditional port scans, which cycle through TCP or UDP port numbers, the protocol scan uses IP protocol numbers to identify which protocols are supported by the host. Despite not technically being a port scan, the protocol scan still uses the same underlying scan engine and reports its results in a familiar port table format. It also utilizes the -p option to select scan protocol numbers, making it similar enough to a port scan that is often included in discussions of port scanning methods. One of the advantages of protocol scan is that it can provide valuable insight into the target system's network stack, helping to identify potential vulnerabilities and security risks. Thank you for watching episode 3 of the Nmap Scan All the Things series. In this video I covered the purpose of port scanning techniques, port scan timing, and port scan types. I hope you found this informative and useful in building a foundation of knowledge about this powerful tool. I recommend reading the documentation provided by nmap.org and practicing on a test network, as it can help you gain knowledge and experience needed to use Nmap effectively. I am currently working on episode 4 of the Nmap Scan All the Things series and hope to have this released within a week. If you find this content informative and you are interested in IT, specifically cybersecurity, please like and subscribe to the Cyber Overwatch channel. The information discussed in this video is gathered from my experience and research. Use this information I've provided in a way that can best assist you. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment or send me a message from the cybersec.com website listed in the description. Until next time, keep learning. The only way to improve is to keep learning. Pragmatic One signing off.